Yo, what's up? Welcome back to My Two Cents. I'm here with my boy Sean.
What's going on, Justin? What's up, everybody? We're back.
I know, right? It's been forever. I just want to run through our quick sponsors real quick. Jonathan Phillips, owner of Max Muscle Huntington Beach. You guys all know Jonathan. Coolest dude. Always fully stocked, fully tested products. Check him out at Max Muscle Huntington Beach and get to know your stuff. He's the guy to go check out and get to know and ask questions. So Jonathan Phillips from Huntington Beach, Max Muscle. What's up, man?
If people haven't listened to that episode with you and Jonathan, they really need to check it out. My favorite line from it is to just eat your fucking vegetables.
It really is that simple. A lot of times that's one of the most questions I get when I do my live feed on Instagram is how do you drink the Garden of Life protein? It tastes so chalky. And I'm like, you fucking drink it. It's like, and Jonathan's he's the one that makes sense. He's like, oh, I just don't like vegetables. Well, like, just eat your vegetables. Just eat them.
Yeah, they're good for you.
And I've been doing that a lot. And I don't mind the vegetables. Like whenever I make my eggs, I just throw my kale and some red onions right in there, and it makes the eggs taste even better. So it's just you don't have to eat a big bowl of just fucking plain kale or spinach. You guys can get a little creative with it. Throw it in your meats or your eggs. Make some really good salads out of it, and then they taste great.
Yeah, what's worked for me are shakes, and that was really helpful. I was sick this past week, and what helped me sort of get better was I would powder these shakes with frozen spinach, blueberries, hemp seeds, and a few other things.
Smart.
And so they're like these powerful shakes, and then I'm getting in a bunch of greens, getting in a bunch of good stuff.
I think that's the problem with our society. Our society feels they need to turn to a lot of times medication or supplementation a lot of times just because that's how we are raised. If we had a stomach ache or a headache or problems, we would take medicine from the medicine cabinets. And I've realized as an adult, you actually can get all these things through actual food and nutrition. To either help our stomach aches, or if we have a headache, there's certain foods you can eat that help calm yourself and restore your immune system and stuff like that, like you're doing with the blueberries and the shakes and stuff, to just get better overall healthy. Makes a big difference, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, exactly. Thanks for that shout out, man.
Yeah, we have a lot to catch up on, guys. We've been MIA for a little bit. A lot of things been going on. We've been both very, very busy. And I think last time we wanted to touch base on was what was going on in the political world, and just go through it real quick and try to have a better understanding of it, because I know it's tough for a lot of people out there that are actually consumed by it and are being affected by it. So it's kind of,
and that's something that, so another reason for the hiatus is you and I have actually done a couple episodes, and we can add these up to the hashtag lost episodes of My Two Cents. But you and I have gotten into some political conversations. Guys listening at home, we just wanted to make sure that we had our ducks in a row and weren't being insensitive to people listening. Because as you know, Justin and I kind of speak our minds, but this obviously affects a ton of different people. People have different views on it. I'm sure in your guys' personal lives, you've come into different types of conversations that I've never had before, politically speaking, with like friends and relatives.
For sure.
And so Justin and I actually finished an episode, normal length thing that was like mainly politics. And then Justin reached out, which I think was the best idea, to say like, hey, why don't we both brush up on things, redo it so we don't, piss anybody off.
Yeah. The last thing I want to do is be ignorant to things I don't understand, because I truly don't follow the political, the events that go on. All I do is watch kind of from the outside, as little as possible too. I really don't like to be too much involved in it, just because a lot of it's so overwhelming. There's a lot of hysteria being put out there, causing more problems than helping. So it's hard to become consumed or participate or be involved, because there's so many negative things that are going on with it that it makes it very hard.
True. And it is kind of unavoidable. I think you do a great job of living your own life and kind of leading by example. And this podcast is a good example of that, and like the other stuff that you and Steph do in your lives. But when we were talking in the past, it's so unavoidable because you would have a client or somebody at the gym would come up and talk to you. And instead of the normal, like, hey, what's going on, bro? They would just start with politics.
For sure.
And I've had that same experience. I'm sure people listening at home have as well. And so, it's something that's on everybody's mind. We wanted to be able to intelligently touch on it.
Yeah, I guess what the big talk was people coming here and refugees, and I guess there was also a fear of people coming here through refugees, and people trying to figure out a proper system of or a transition of bringing people here, or immigration or refugees, and I guess it's a big topic for a lot of people, and I just wanted to personally put out there that. I think anybody has a right to pursue happiness and a healthy lifestyle and a safe lifestyle with their kids and family anywhere in the world. That's anybody's right. Refugees or non-refugees, anybody can pursue to leave and find a safe place and live here or live anywhere. That's anybody's right as a human being. And I think that's one thing that people from here that don't see that's a problem. Like, just because you were born here doesn't mean you have any more of a right to live here.
And what you were describing, everybody has done that. Like, unless they're part Native American or they're full Native American or something, like, we all came from somewhere else.
Yeah. And the ignorance that is unbelievable to say. Now, I understand, like, the transition that we have to have is a very important transition when it comes to this, bringing in people, helping people. And even people wanting to come and live here just to seek a better like lifestyle and how to live and all that jazz and all these things are important, and I think a transition and a proper transition is important because I know there's a lot of people that are afraid of things that might not even be real, that might have been.
And I think you're hitting on a main point: is fear.
It's fear, and
fear is so encapsulating.
And I think a lot of people have been manipulated to be afraid of things that aren't really that scary. I think that's just the truth of it. I think we're shown only certain things on TV and social media to cause hysteria and make this a much tougher process. And as far as reflecting on like how Donald Trump takes care of business, his way is very old school. Just so you guys understand that his way of thinking is very, very small.
Which makes sense because he's 70. Yeah, and that's the other thing. Yeah, how many grandparents, people listening, how many grandparents they have that watch cable news in the morning at night and talk about how great the old days used to be. Like, that's the age group our president's in.
I agree. And I think I mentioned to you, if Donald Trump was running for presidency in the 1940s, he'd probably go down as one of the greatest presidents of all time, because during the time that we were in, which was America. And I think we're going to be the first country where we become a global country, like a global unit. That's the transition we need to head in, guys. Because flags and borders, even though we need them to, I guess, more so for tax purposes, the transition isn't to keep people out because there's not enough room. There's plenty of room. You know what I mean? We can find places for people. It's about, the transition is just about so everybody can continue to have the system not break down, as far as like everyone pays their taxes and everybody has to play the game and participate for the system to continue to work, for us to be proactive and not break down. And I think that's why I think that's why some people are worried about it. But I think as long as we have a solid transition and understand, like, it takes time. And I'm all for a safe zone. People are trying to figure out, like, how do we go about it? And for a while, I didn't have an answer because if there are lots and lots of numbers, and they have to go through and go through each person, and this can cause a lot of problems for families out there that are like in standstill, that are stuck, and these are huge problems, especially with children and elderly people. I don't think people over here can comprehend how scary that can be, or how insane that is to just be stuck somewhere with your whole family with no food, no money, in a horrible environment. Or to be separated even. Yeah. Like, I'm sure you've seen some of those photos where people were separated from their families, or father, mother couldn't get back because they were banned from traveling, and so they couldn't join with their family. And a lot of times these were people who had, and I love the difference. They were informants for us. So they were kind of like rats for the people that they lived with, but to help the U.S. in our endeavors. And as a thank you and as payment, we allowed them and their family to immigrate to the United States. And so a lot of those people were getting stuck in the countries that they had just like rolled over on for the United States. And in terms of like compassion, it's like, how do we as Americans, like, they just helped us out because they wanted opportunity that we've always had. And so then all of a sudden we're like, oh, hey, kidding, you got to wait
and stay in the country with all the people that you just put in jail, so to speak.
Yeah, it's kind of messed up how that all happened without warning. For one, people were traveling and all that kind of stuff without warning. That's not the way to do things. It was kind of ridiculous, and just not cool.
Well, yeah, and that was my issue, and I'm kind of opinionated on this one in that, that was an executive order that the president signed, and a lot of the criticism he's gotten is kind of what you've hit on, like, hey, bro, this is a much larger operation than you just signing a piece of paper, and you need to check with different organizations, and this is,
for sure,
it's a huge fucking country.
It's a huge country, and a lot of people are involved, a lot of families are involved, and to have an understanding of that, I think, is really important. I even saw a horrible meme. I saw a meme. I can't even fucking think of it now. I saved it in my phone. I might have forgot it or deleted it.
That's good though that you couldn't remember a horrible meme.
It was a horrible meme. It was
just you're living your life.
It was like a picture of a crying child on a picture, and it was this like double tap if you think children that are like in America need help first, or something like that. And it's you get what I'm saying? Have you seen one of those memes before where it's like, and it's like, that's not the issue. It's like, it's not one's better than the other. If people need help and we can help them, we help them. It's very simple, guys. Right. It's called humanity. Like you just don't say, oh, sorry, because you're not born in America, you're shit out of luck, and you're just fortunate enough to be born in America. Like there is no pecking order of why you were lucky enough to be born here. So I think that's a huge understanding, is that everyone has a right to seek happiness and safety for their friends and family, wherever they go. With saying that, I think everyone needs to understand there has to be a type of transition. I'm all for a safe zone. Trump can build some Trump towers somewhere.
Trump safe zones.
He can build some Trump towers somewhere that allows people and refugees and people trying to come over from tough situations. They can come over here and process them properly, where they're safe and they're taken care of.
The other stat that hit me, because I had been, kind of to our conversation previously and how we wanted to read up on the subject and learn more, I found out that I think the percentage is in the 40s. I think it's like 47% of illegal immigrants are part of a family. And so it's like they came over illegally, had a child who's now American, and so the kid can stay, but the parents technically can't, but they're, working, they're contributing to society, et cetera. And so those are kind of the illegal immigrants that we don't want to kick out, to your point, those that are playing the game.
I think
you said, the safe zones, are those the same as like sanctuary cities that they've been talking about on the news and whatnot? And basically the sanctuary cities are like the big cities. So like LA, New York, Houston, in Florida, Miami, they came out and they were like, we're not going to be a sanctuary city anymore. I believe that's what they did. But I think those are kind of like the safe zones. So it's like, hey, if you're in these cities and you're, and please correct us if you're listening at home, but I think those are like the safe zones you're talking about in terms of like, if you're working, if you're contributing to society, if you want to be an American in that way, like you can stay, we'll figure it out type of thing.
Yeah. I think the trick is all coming together without threatening people, without making people feel worried if they come forward too. I think a lot of people would be willing to come forward and be like, hey, listen, I want to be a part of this system. I want to contribute to this system, but they don't know if they can because of how hostile it is. So I think it's scary for a lot of people trying to be here and make it here and live here. It's definitely a transition. Now, what we need to do is also not cause massive hysteria by making dumb posts every single day. And that goes for both parties. For both parties, for sure. There's a lot of people that have been duped and tricked and manipulated to be afraid of everything that's going on in the world. And those people are genuinely afraid, and they can't really see outside the box and understand that they're being kind of fooled and tricked, and it's not as scary as out there. We're not in code red right now.
They're invading.
Yeah, exactly. So there's going to be issues wherever you go, and that's what they're highlighting in our social media news when they show these horrible situations that are going on. But that's all they're showing. They're not showing the most amazing things that are going on in the world and how people are coming together and everybody's living in peaceful places and unity and all these things. They're not showing that. So
it's because, fear sells. And I think we've talked about it in the past. And, you brought it up a moment ago of just people spreading fear. That's the the oldest evolutionary operating system that the human mind has is fear. And it makes sense. When we were, eons ago in the fucking wilderness,
Yeah.
we had to look up and like watch out for the animal that was going to devour us. And so we had to be on point, 24/7 and kind of stressed out. Thankfully, we've evolved to the point where we don't need to. Like, we live in these nice houses, we drive around, our fears are now like stresses about our job, our family,
Exactly.
or environment. They aren't the same fears, but that operating system is still there. And so that's what the news stations really feed into when they're like, oh my God, this is taking over, da da da. They know you're going to watch because unconsciously, subconsciously, you're in the back like, oh fuck, this is, my fear zone in the brain is eating this up.
Yeah, and I know some people that are very intelligent and they play a role in society even that are even duped by this. They're like
Oh, for sure.
They're like they're actually afraid. They're really, really worried, and they're good people. And they're awesome people. They do a lot in the community, and they're always the sweetest people. And they've been duped. And you could tell them, be like, hey man, like honestly, like it's not as scary as you think it is. Honestly, this, and they're like, no man, it's scary. They're
Yeah, they're at the gates.
They're
gonna break it down.
and I think like they've been told that, and it could be true. They've been told that there's some people that are like hiding within refugees. Like even what was it, Canada? Canada even decided not to let single men from certain countries.
There is some statistic, of like X number of people per million or per thousands that could be bad.
I think what it was like 1%. Or something like that. It was like, but 1%,
really was.
but 1% of what, like 103 billion people
right. Yeah.
is like.
What are we talking about?
What gets me is like 250 million people. That's that's like the 1%. So
let's talk about the white people that commit crimes,
exactly,
like the white American,
and that's,
waspy people that we never talk about.
Exactly. So that's why it's important for people to really understand, like to that. It's a transition. I can't express that enough. Like it's a transition. They did the same thing when we were trying to abolish slavery, and people were starting falsy news about how black people were violent and how they can't be trusted and all these things. And people were genuinely afraid of having black people be within the community, having black people be within our schools and in our workplaces. This is a transition. It's the same situation. I feel we're going to be okay, and we're going to become an awesome global unit, and we're going to keep moving forward because that's what we do, and we can't give into the fear. And that's just what it is.
Right.
I can't express that enough.
You're 100% right in that this has happened before. Not only through abolition and slavery, and you have to remember, I'm the resident like history major from school, but even Irish people. I'm descendant from Irish people, and when they came over, they actually were called the N-word, and they were lumped into the same group with black people because people were for some reason so afraid of people from Ireland.
Yeah,
the same thing
They're
happened.
afraid of change.
Yes, exactly. Same thing happened in World War II with the Japanese and internment camps. The same thing happened in the Civil Rights Movement and, water fountains for black people and water fountains for white people. And so you're right. People fear the unknown. They fear change.
They did it with women. When women were becoming
1920s.
Yeah, when they were starting to vote and wearing short shorts. Like it was scary when women wore short shorts. It was a problem. They were the devil. These were real things that seem hilarious to us now, but this was like their topics back in the day because people don't like change and they're afraid of change. But that's just called evolution, man. That's like called that's intelligence. People need to realize, like, no joke, like flags, borders, these are all primitive things. We should be a global unit. We have a while to go. This is going to be way down the road, and we're going to have a lot of issues and a lot of problems due to people not understanding this. The entitlement is insane. The fact that you think you live here is insane, that nobody else can come here. Mm-hmm. The only thing you should ever be upset about people coming here is people coming here and not contributing to the system, and that's not their fault. It's a lot of times it's how we're processing them, and the people and they're not really doing their job. Like there's a reason why a lot of people are coming in illegally. They're getting free work labor off a lot of these people.
It's like, why aren't we doing anything with the people who hire the illegal immigrants so they can pay them like $5?
Exactly. Like those are the people that you should be getting pissed off with. They can't get a job unless Joe White Guy gives them the job.
Yeah. And Joe White Guy's not going to do that shit for $5 an hour.
Exactly.
Because he's like, fuck that. I'm American.
Right.
I'm entitled.
So
hey, you hit on a global community a moment ago. And in my opinion, because we're seeing this all over the world, not just here with Trump, but, Brexit over in Europe and the hard right movements in like France and Greece and Spain. I think, and from what I've read and kind of poked around, we're leaving a lot of people behind with this whole globalization. And I'm all for it, not leaving people behind, but a global community. But instead of taking the coal worker that's like, hey, Joe White Guy who used to work in the coal mines, that's not going to be the mode of energy anymore. So we're going to train you to work on solar. We're going to train you to work on wind. And you're now going to take that skill set and like move it somewhere else.
Yeah, you
but
have
instead
to evolve
of doing
too.
that,
People need to understand just because you went to school 100 years ago and you had this craft that you became great in, and that craft has evolved and has died out. Nobody owes you anything. I'm sorry, but that's just not it. They can teach you, but nobody owes you like anything in the end. That's like honestly the truth. You have to keep evolving as a human, and keep learning and keep studying. If you got to go back to school when you're 50 because the world is changing, that's your responsibility.
And that's something you hit on quite a bit with just how to deal with this whole thing. And what we talk about a lot on the podcast is like constant improvement and as individuals.
Yeah, exactly. The world is moving very fast. I mean, even I have a tough time with technology, and I'm going to be 34 this year. Like even last night I was at the Apple store because my phone just stopped fucking working for the life of me. I was there for 8 hours, and then they put me on phone with some lady that couldn't speak English.
But she like knew the phones better.
She knew the phones better than me, but I couldn't understand her on the phone, and it was frustrating. But this is just part of what it is, we all have to adapt and we all have to learn. Maybe I need to learn my phone more. Maybe I need to take the time and Google like how my Apple fucking iPhone works. And that way I can take care of the problem myself, and I don't need to sit on a phone for 8 hours with somebody. Because Steph picked up my phone and fixed it within 5 minutes. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
or you don't need to worry about that because we got immigrants who are willing to learn the phone, and work a little bit to help you out. Yeah,
for sure. And all of Apple,
she's
they
an
were
immigrant.
all immigrants, and Steph is immigrant. It is true. You know what I mean? Steph is. If anybody was wondering, that Steph is fully an immigrant. So
Justin's married to an immigrant.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
By the way.
It's anybody in America can't work a phone, but immigrants will figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for global community. I've been saying it since day one. I don't represent myself as an American. I'm me. I'm who I am. I'm Justin, and I think everybody needs to just be themselves and be open and welcoming to everybody. And we're gonna have some shitheads. We're gonna have some people that are radical them. They're just radical human beings. Either they're not intelligent to think for themselves and they've been duped. And that happens all over the world.
That's a great phrase, a radical them, because it encapsulates like in anything. Islam, you got radical them. In Christianity, you got radical them. In people who aren't religious, you got radical them.
Yeah, it's just what it is. If people can be manipulated to do stupid shit, it's going to happen all the time. The trick is just keep moving forward and keep like getting the good people in. You don't want to like. And believe me, there's way more good people. There's way more good people. Like way more. Like we'll figure it out. This is called the transition. There's going to be some horrible shit that happens, but there's going to be way more good shit that happens. Way more.
Well, and that's what I've been trying to tell myself when I get kind of down with some of the draconian shit that Trump and his administration has been bringing to the table is that Hillary would have never been able to mobilize all those women for a women's march. The fucking like millions of people, like 4 or 5 million people across the country that got together for the women's march. Hillary wouldn't have been able to do that. Trump was able to do that because he pissed so many people off. Like now with them trying to roll back Obamacare, aka the Affordable Care Act, that's like 20 million people are being affected. A lot of those are older baby boom generation people. And so now they're getting pissed off. And so it's like, hey, Women's March people, meet the people pissed off by Affordable Care Act being taken away. And so it is galvanizing all these people. It's making people more aware of what's going on in their communities and their country, which I think is a positive.
Huge. Yeah, I agree. And I think it's gonna work out really well in the end, because I think what's problem is like we have moved so fast as far as technology goes and how people think Um, like our generations for everything. Our generation really is. We're very fortunate. Like we're in our 30s. We're for gay rights. We're for women's rights. We're for mixed babies. We all want mixed babies. They're the best looking babies.
Oh, they look great.
They really are. Steph wishes I was black most of the time just so she can have a mixed baby. This is.
You guys are Canadian American though. That's
I know,
mixed.
right? It's mixed baby. Great. I know, right? But like this is just how it is. It baffles me. It baffles me that people are putting their heels so deep in and just being manipulated by the bullshit news, and how it's out there that it's bullshit news. It's not like it's still like we're trying to figure it out if there's bullshit news. Like no, it's all bullshit. And like I said, when it comes down to Trump is just an old brain. He really thinks like he's doing a good job because he is 75 years old and he's about making America great again. And in his brain, he's still living in 1940. It makes sense to him. It makes sense to him. And maybe it might have made sense back then. It might have made sense, but we were not as intelligent. This is called transition, moving forward, becoming more intelligent as a human species, not as America, as a human species. And it's unbelievable that people think that you have a right to not let women, children, men in to seek help, safety for their families just because they're not born here. That to me is the most insane thing I've ever heard. You need to get your fucking head checked. And if you're worried about shit, like you're always going to be worried about shit.
Right. It doesn't go away. Once the Muslim or the refugee thing goes away, we're going to be worried about something else.
There's plenty of dumb Americans that get in their car every single night after drinking all that fucking alcohol and kill families every single fucking weekend just over pure stupidity. And you're not out there being like, you know what? I'm terrified to drive my car at night. I'm not going to go out there and
drink. Or like, drink. Let me not drink.
But we have baseball fucking games sponsored by Bud Light. It's just...
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. All right, but that's good. That's enough on politics. We'll just stay on it and get pissed off. So,
but people at home who are listening, we're down to talk more about this stuff, I think. So if you guys want to hear more of our takes on politics, we can dive into it.
I just personally don't... that's the thing. Is like I'm very limited on politics, but I understand what's morally correct and not how to... contribute to the hysteria or the fear. Like even if I don't agree with some of my friends too, I think this is a big important thing to discuss real quick. You can't manipulate someone to see outside the box or think like you do by insulting them. Right. And I see a lot of people on both sides that think that it's funny or humorous to insult the left or insult the right while trying to prove their point, thinking that, oh, this'll have them, they'll finally see it. They'll finally see what I'm talking about.
I almost cringe.
By being an asshole, by being condescending. And it goes on both sides. Both sides. It's absolutely ridiculous. And this does nothing. This does nothing. If you're that douchebag out there making a post, making fun of something else, and most of the time, the facts that you're talking about are completely off, so you look stupid. The things that you're saying are completely off, so it looks stupid.
I think that's when people start using those attacks to cover up for the shit that they don't know. Exactly. So they're like making fun of the other side because they haven't done their research.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you're correct. And so it's just nuts. And I've had friends on both sides. And it's like, unfollow. I've unfollowed friends because of how they're causing hysteria. They're causing problems. They're manipulating to have more fear, or they're making posts to feel stupid for not understanding the one side. It's like if you want to change the thoughts of these hardcore Americans, right, that think America is theirs, talk to them. Talk to them like a normal person. Don't put up a meme.
Great advice.
Don't put up a meme insulting them. Don't put up a meme, especially insulting them when your memes doesn't even make any sense. Because then they're going to be like, well, no, this. And people need to stop fighting over Trump or Hillary. They're both horrible options. They're not good for anything. So we need to look within ourselves, within the community of making decisions. Like, Trump has no power if we become a community. The problem is diversion. Exactly. Not diversion, division. Excuse me, division. And you putting up memes, making fun of other people on both sides creates division and creates hate and all these problems. And we can't be a strong human community if we're just being douchebags to each other. It just makes no sense.
Right. And I get it. I get kind of passionate about these things. And I know when people talk to politics on either side, people get really emotional and passionate. And it's difficult to not lash out and be like, well, your fucking guy is a douchebag, dumbass.
He's not anybody's
da, da, da.
guy, though. Donald Trump's Donald Trump. That's the thing.
Right.
And people, I think another thing, too, is like I think a lot of people misunderstand why people vote for Trump and why people wanted to vote for Hillary. There were all these like personal little issues that had nothing to do with these larger issues a lot of times.
Oh, yeah. It was more like personality traits.
Exactly. It's like the 60-year-old white guy that voted for Trump is the guy who's probably still working. He's killing himself every day. He's barely making his bills by. And here's this other guy that's like, hey, we're going to make America great again because all these immigrants took your jobs. And this white guy who's on probably antidepressant pills, has fucking 7 kids because he's an idiot and had 7 kids, and like, he's been married 3 times,
Yeah.
So it's like one of those things where it's like, that's why he voted for Trump. He's not like this bigot. He's not a racist. He just has his own little life problems. And then you have the other side of the people that did the same exact thing. And I think that's why we have this weird thing where people are like, if you voted for this person, you're a piece of shit. And if you voted for this person, you're a piece of shit. And that's what's shitty about like this whole system and how it really doesn't work. It's really
well, and that's
strange.
what I hate. That's what I hate about the 2-party thing is like, if
doesn't make any
let's
sense.
say. Well, and let's say you and I are on the other side of the aisle. If I pick yes, you have to pick no because you want to pick all those no votes, even though you may feel like a little bit yes, and I might feel a little bit no. But I have to pick one side over the other, and I fucking hate that shit.
Yeah, and there's very big gray areas. There's
Huge
gray areas, and like that you can't even vote on because one is one way and one's the other way. There's a lot of stuff in there that's like, well, this could work, and nobody represents that. So
exactly.
You kind of have to like pick one that kind of like represents 30% of what you think, and the other person normally represents 20% of what you think. And then there's like the rest out there that's like, oh fuck, everyone thinks I'm for this guy, but he, or for this woman. And that's the crazy part about even having a president, because that person in the end. It just sucks because they're just saying things to just get the popular vote of certain ethnic groups, certain generations. And so it's just
and that's what we're seeing now with, I don't know if you've been paying attention to any of the town halls that have been going on. A lot of the elected representatives are holding these little like meet and greets for people. And you were talking about like a pseudo Trump voter who is disenfranchised, lost their job, et cetera. There was a woman who stood up in Kentucky and was like, yeah, the Republican candidate campaigned on the fact that he would bring back these coal jobs and like help these people out. And the person in Kentucky's like, that doesn't seem like it's going to happen. And so she's like, and now you want to take away their health care when they can't even get a job. And so she's like, what the fuck? Right. And so to your point, this guy won because he's like, oh, I'm going to take care of you people. And now some of those people are figuring out like, oh shit, he was just saying that. It was like high school class president type of shit.
Yeah.
Dude, that was when I was in elementary school. Dude said, I ran for fucking elementary president when I was in 5th grade. And a dude who won got up there and said he was going to increase recess, was going to get rid of homework, and all this other bullshit. And I was sitting there like, I don't think he can do that. Guess what? He won.
He won, and he couldn't do any of those
recess
things.
stayed the same. Yeah, homework.
We're going to get an extra vending machine, more Doritos.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, I think, it's just crazy. That's the problem. I think there's a lot of problems, but I think being compassionate and understanding empathy and sympathy for every individual, because we all come from different places and we all come from hard times and we all work really hard.
And we're all going through the same shit. We all love our families. We all want to do well.
I think that's what people forget. We're all in this together in a sense, and so we have to treat each other with a lot of respect. And before,
not even in a sense, we're in this fucking spaceship floating through space, and
literally.
We just got each other.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I don't know any other conscious animals on this planet. Like, humans are the only option.
Yeah, exactly. So I think just being mindful that this is a transition, and we're gonna get through it, and just be cool with everybody as much as you can. I mean, the best people in the world were all about just showing love and peace, and that was your Gandhis, that were your Martin Luther King guys, that was even like your Jesus. Yeah, these are people promoting love in the worst of times. They're promoting.
They didn't have indoor plumbing.
No,
they didn't have internet.
Yeah, exactly. And they were reaching people better than we can. And like that's what I'm saying. It's like instead of promoting hysteria or being condescending or being just a piece of shit on social media and posting stuff that you have no idea what you're doing or causing all these other problems that are affecting so many people just with stupid shit. just put out there, like, hope everyone's fucking feeling awesome, and like, let's all like get through this together. Much love, put up a post like that. You'll get way more likes. Like, it's unbelievable, and that's how you lead by example. Is just simple shit like that. Just be cool, and you'll see the transition will happen much, much easier instead of all this fucking type of problems. It's gnarly. All right, so you haven't been feeling well, huh?
No, I haven't. I caught that flu that's been going around. So people listening at home, we were supposed to be doing this in person in Los Angeles together today, but I came down with the flu. First time I've had a fever probably in about 5 years. I was 101. I do sick pretty well, quote unquote. So I was like up and moving around, but Dayla came home one day and she was like, "You don't look good." Took my temperature, 101. So what I've heard is it's been affecting people kind of across the country, friends, colleagues at work. I'm now finally starting to get better. So if you hear me coughing a little bit, that's the lone vestiges of being sick. But
how long were you sick
Steph,
for?
About a week.
Like,
I started feeling it this time last week. And then I was in bed for like 3 or 4 days. I'm
lucky enough I didn't get sick at all. And Steph was in Canada. She didn't get sick, so we were fortunate. It's not going around here at California. Everybody got sick maybe like a month and a half ago here, and everybody was getting the flu and stuff. So maybe it's made its way down to Austin finally, and got everybody else sick.
It's making its way across the country. Yeah, exactly.
And
what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about earlier is you mentioned technology and phones and stuff, and you were saying you're not very technologically savvy. I would beg to differ based on what I've seen just through Instagram and Facebook in terms of your guys' app, the IAMBUILT app. So
I still
people at home.
I didn't build the app. I didn't write code for the app, but thank goodness it's very easy to use. Because I can even figure it out, and I'm not very good at it.
You can use it.
I'm good at
don't build it.
Yeah, I'm good at like 2 things: Instagram, iMovie, and that's about it. And Steph had to show me how to use pretty much everything.
Hey, don't sell yourself short. You text pretty well.
I text really well. It took me a while to even text messages. I dated a deaf girl for me to start texting. That's not even a lie. I didn't date her to start texting. I just wound up dating a deaf girl, and then I had to start texting because that's how we communicated.
We need to get into that at some point.
She was really great. She was awesome. But I think I was 21, 22 years old when texting was just coming out. And
so you had to hit the button like 8 times to get
like
the right
A, B,
letter.
C, A, B. Yeah, like where you had to get to see it, hit it 3 times exactly. So I was like, this is stupid. I'll just call everybody. And her name's Sarah. She's really awesome. And she had a cochlear implant, which allowed her actually to hear, which was
nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like a little magnet that goes on the back of the ear. And then, but she still had trouble sounding or hearing things through a phone. So texting was what it was in, and it was just coming in. Like I had the red Razor, I think.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, I had a silver Razor.
Yeah, those were great phones, right? Flip up everything. And
shout out to everybody who had Razors. Those things were tight.
Yeah, I remember she at first because she could talk because she had the cochlear implant. Like she could talk fine, perfectly fine. But if she took the cochlear implant off, she was completely deaf. Completely deaf.
Yeah, couldn't hear anything.
Yeah. So she would text me, and I was like, "Why is this girl texting me?" And I go to call her. And she wouldn't answer. And then she would just text me again. I'm like, oh, I guess I have to text this person. I'm like, hey, I really don't like texting. She's like, oh, all I do is text. And I'm like, okay. So that's how I learned how to text.
She's like, I can't hear, dick.
You can't hear you, dick. So that's how I learned how to text. Was dating a really, really sweet girl that couldn't hear. It was nice.
So tell us a little bit about the app.
Oh, man. The app's actually really, really exciting. When did it launch? It launched, on Thursday? I think it was just a few days ago.
Yeah, this past week when I was waking up in my haze, I was like, oh, shit, Justin's got an app.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. We have a really, really great investor. His name's Alex. He approached us almost 6 months ago about this app. So this has been like 6 to 8 months in the works. And we've been writing up content and stuff for the app.
Which, just sidebar for that length of time, people who are listening, who are working on their own shit, or they got side hustles, whatnot, like the fun app that you're now playing on with IAMBUILT, that took Justin like 6 to 8 months. And so if it's taking you guys a little bit longer to get from A to B, don't worry about it.
Yeah, and it's only, honestly, I think it only moved as quick as it did because I have one of the coolest, best dudes in my corner, which is my boy Alex, who invested in us, who also was like the genius who wrote the app as well. So I'm very, very fortunate, very, very thankful that he sees something in us and wants to do this with us, because there's a lot of people out there he could have definitely contacted and hit up, but he took a chance on us. So I appreciate that big time, and I'm excited for it. I think the app's going to be fantastic. It allows us, I'll give you guys a little information on it. It allows us to make videos every week, keep on top of that content, making new videos for you guys, explaining how things work in the gym, even challenges, workout programs, ebooks are available on there, even food recipes. All that stuff will be available on there. And the way it works is that a lot of the content is available for free once you guys get the app. The app is free too. And then there's certain content that you have to pay to unlock. And then there's the VIP membership where you get access to everything. So it's actually really, really cool. And if you have a VIP membership, you actually can also chat with us through the app, and we answer you directly through the app. So you have one-on-one conversations with us, which is really neat. And we go through and check that at night and answer any questions you guys may have about any of the videos that you purchased or watched. So it's really, really exciting. And like today, me and Steph are going in this afternoon to film probably for like 3-4 hours on different type of workouts people have questions on, stretching, mobility videos, and even like a full back workout using like alternate grips and whatnot. So it's
okay, nice.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. So, and this is also for all those people that can't afford personal trainers. This is what it's actually for. People can't afford a personal trainer, $150 a session. It's expensive, and it's not everybody has that luxury. But if you're a member for $10 a month,
right,
and you get all of our ebooks, you get all of our training programs that are for sale on our website. All those are included as well. So like it's really, really cool on what's included for such little cost. It's like you can learn a lot.
That's like a one-stop shop.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I think we're actually once it gets going and we bring the apparel back in, the apparel will be available on there as well. So it'll be
that was exciting for me personally too, because I love the hoodies and I love the hats. And I saw your post that you guys are partnering with another investor.
Yep,
and you guys
I meet with him today. He comes here at 11. So
nice.
I meet him at 11, and me and Steph go out to lunch and talk with a possible investor. I think it's going to be a 100% go, because he even hit us up, and he's consistently talking about how he always sees people asking about hoodies and hats, and he's like, well, your shop's looking kind of like shit. I'm like, well, yeah, you're right. I'm like, we're just stretched so thin, we are. It's like we want to do the apparel, but everything costs money financially. So like we were always stretched thin, and we did what we could do, because it was just always me and Steph, literally up until this point. So the fact that we have some people that see something in us and believe in us and want to invest in us to see us grow as a community with you guys is huge. So we're really excited to meet with him today, and he seems even more excited than we are. So these are all good signs.
Yeah, it's good. That means he sees opportunity. I'm always impressed, Justin, with what you and Steph, how much day you pack into each day.
Yeah, I get up
how
at
many
3.
videos you guys push out there, how active you are on social media.
I get up at 3. I think that's why. 3 a.m. every day, which is insane. Everyone's like, what time do you get up? I'm like, 3 o'clock. They're like, what the fuck? What time do you go to bed? 8.
Yeah.
I go to bed at 8.
Nice.
So, there isn't enough hours in the day at the moment. Like even today, it's like, woke up this morning, had to get some stuff organized. Steph is like literally started we're doing a vlog today as well. So Steph's like walking to the gym, starting our vlog, and then we're going to be showing what we're doing for the app through a vlog while filming for the app today, while having a meeting for our apparel at 11. And then we have to upload all those onto the app.
I would vote for you for president, because in like a week you'd fix everything. You'd be like, do this.
And then we have to edit this and then upload this for tomorrow night, and then have to upload the vlog for Tuesday, and then I also have to shoot for Mai Tai on Monday.
You ever does this ever overwhelm you? You just kind of enjoy it?
I love the results of what it is. I think because it's so rewarding, due to the fact that we inspire so many people, as corny as that sounds. That's why I even do what I do. I'm not a big fan of working hard. I'm not. Like,
Yeah,
it's
you don't
like,
want to get up at 3 a.m. in a perfect world.
No, it's like, but this is actually a lot of fun for me. So I enjoy waking up early. I enjoy showing my routine with you guys so I can inspire you guys to fall into your zone, because it's beautiful. It's a beautiful place to be when you fall into that routine and see what your body is actually capable of, what your brain is actually capable of. And it's all through diet and nutrition and training and being healthy and understanding like the routine of how human beings work and what works for you, and just putting this stuff out there for you guys so you guys can kind of like make it your own and take a little bit and not take what you need and all that jazz, and fall into your own place so you can be successful spiritually, financially, relationship wise, all the above. So this is why we do it. It's really fun.
And I don't think it's corny at all. You know, it's fun for me. There's a woman, Jordan, who I know follows both you and myself, and I've, for the last year, kind of followed her and seen her evolution as a person. And she had a post recently, I think today or this morning, last night, about how she used to think like, oh God, I hope these people like me when she walks into a room. But now it's switched of like, oh, I hope I like them.
Yeah.
And that's such a huge mental reframe. And that comes from a lot of work individually. And I know for a fact that you've influenced a lot of that. And she's not the only one. And so, you know, I love what you're doing. I know a lot of people else are. I hope you're getting that. You and Steph are getting those props and like that admiration, because it's warranted for sure.
Well, self-love is everything. And it's hard because I think we've touched on this many times in many of our podcasts, that that's just the number one thing right there. If you learn to really appreciate and love yourself and then put into work, I think that's the biggest thing too. It's like when I say you need to learn how to love yourself, a lot of you guys out there just hear these words like, oh, okay, I need to learn how to love myself. But how do you do that? It's like the hard part. And for me, I mean, to be honest, I've learned through meditation. I've learned through psychedelics. And I've learned through Steph and my friends who also like love themselves and stuff like that. Surrounding myself around with good people, and also watching and listening to people that also love themselves and learning habits that they use and applying them myself. So you have to put in the work as well. It's like I come from a lot of the same, places that you guys come from. And you have to be aware of self-love and understand how it is the building blocks to everything. And sometimes it's harder for others, but I think recognizing, understanding like what your worth is everything. And a lot of you guys also ask, like, how do I have such a successful relationship with friends, family, and with Steph? And it's because of self-love. If I can love myself to pieces and know my worth, that just radiates off me into the rest of the world. And I think that's how you become successful, not only in a relationship-wise with all your friends and family, but business-wise. People want to be around you. They want to work with you. They want to support you. Hence my investors. My investors, I can tell you right now, solely invested into me just because of how I want to be a good person. And it's truly it.
When they believe in the brand, because you and Steph do have a brand, and they believe in what you guys are doing. I mean, I remember when you asked me to do the podcast, I was fucking floored because of who you are.
Oh, I appreciate
that. And that was, before you guys are now, and what you've built over the last year and a half.
Yeah, it takes work too. I mentioned it in one of my vlogs. Like, people are always like, "How do you stay so motivated and so happy?" And I'm like, well, it takes work. I don't push the snooze button. I start my routine early in the morning. I make sure I drink enough water. I make sure I eat the right food.
It's a huge one.
All these things, and I think that's one thing that people miss. I had a young man come up to me in the gym, and he's expressing, like, at first he was all about hating on everybody else in the gym that was seeing results. That was like his opening line.
And I think that's a lot of people, right?
For
like
sure.
Think about sports and growing up, like, people get
that
pissed.
person must be doing this. That's why they look so good. And they must be they must be doing this. That's why they look so good. Instead of giving the person credit for working hard or knowing that person put in the time and dots all their I's and crosses all their T's, they didn't see it as that. So I had to check them. I'm like, listen, man, you have no idea what that person is doing, how much work they're putting in. And I see that person. I even vouched to the person they were talking about. I'm like, that person's in here 4 hours a day, and I'm in here all day long. You should see that person train. You should see how hard they work, and you can't just blame it on this. Or you just can't say it's because of this. I mean, I'm like, what have you been doing? I'm like, what have you been doing? Have you been putting in the work? Did you sleep in? Did you eat pizza last night? And people, I'm not talking about like how a person looks. I'm talking about how their brain is. I'm talking about like the psychology part of like how their brain works to become like a totally different individual, not just physically but mentally. Most people suffer mentally because of food. Most people suffer mentally because they're not getting the exercise and are training hard.
Yeah, and they're not getting enough sleep. They aren't taking care of themselves. You're hitting on like the unseen hours, quote unquote, and that made me think of this guy, Drew Hanlon. He's a basketball skills coach, and I love it. I love following him, Drew Hanlon. People can look him up on Instagram because he works with a bunch of NBA players, and he'll show like an NBA player pulling a move in game to like hit a three or dunk or whatever. And then he'll show the workout tape and them doing it over and over again. And he calls it the unseen hours. And he's like, just because that guy like schooled his defender in the game, it's because we've done that 100 times in the gym.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, and that's the part where I'll even admit to you guys, like even as myself, I fall into like a funk or a funks at some point, and for me at one point it was like, and pretty recently too, I was like in this weird funk for like a solid 2 weeks, and I couldn't shake it, and then so I'm like for a while I would just be more aggravated and I couldn't figure out why, and then I realized I'm like, it's because I'm being lazy. It's because of being lazy. And it was funny. So I woke up and like trying to figure it out. And I smoked a joint. I'm heading to the gym. And then all of a sudden, boom. I'm like, you're fucking lazy. As I'm walking in the gym door. I
love also that the marijuana was a catalyst for this realization, as they usually are.
Yeah, for sure. They just calm down, let your brain work a little bit different. And literally walking to the gym door is like, oh, it's because you're lazy, you dumb shit. I'm like, put the fucking work in. And you know what it was? Is like, for me, it was my morning routine. So for a while, I was waking up at 4 to get to the gym by 5. All right. So I'd wake up at 4 and then
kind of rushing.
Exactly. In that hour, I was rushing to drink my coffee, even to make my coffee, even to pick up around the house, to make sure Steph was nice and cozy when she woke up and comfortable. My dogs, I was rushing that. I was rushing my morning fucking shit. I was rushing my second cup of coffee, rushing out the door. And it wasn't like I was late, but I was slightly rushed. These are things that you guys might not notice. Right. These are all like things that are very, very small. Very, very, very small.
I'm really happy you hit on this because I hate that feeling. And I'll sometimes give myself extra time.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to catch because you're getting all your stuff done. You're getting to work on time.
But it's almost more tiring than it should be.
It's like it's not a clear morning. It's kind of like if you were to look back, I'm like, oh yeah, I had a great morning drinking my coffee. It's like, no man, I woke up.
What the fuck happened?
This. And so I was doing this, I think, for a little while. I was getting for quite a while, because you want to sleep as much as you can. Like anybody else, like, oh yeah, if I can get all my stuff done in 1 hour, I'll sleep till 4 and get to the gym by 5. And so that was my starting point of understanding, like, stop being lazy, get up at 3. So it stops pushing the snooze button. So
how do you reconcile getting sleep at 8? Because I imagine that's going to be similarly challenging.
No, you get tired. You get tired. You're up, so you start crashing by like 5:30, 6 o'clock. You're like, whoa, I'm pretty tired because you've been up all day already. You've been up forever. Right. So like the next.
Do you feel like you have more to do? Like when 8 o'clock comes, you're like, oh, I need to sleep, but like people are hitting me up. Or
no. Everybody else is shut down because the East Coast. I'm very fortunate. The East Coast time is 3 hours ahead. So
I know, you lucky bastard. I'm over here and it's still pushing. I got people on the West Coast hitting me up.
Yeah, it's 11, 12 o'clock. It's 11, 12 o'clock when I go to bed. I mean, they're over on the East Coast. So I'm here at 8 o'clock. I can even crash out at 7:30. Nobody's ringing up my phone. And
I guess, people on the West Coast would be like eating dinner and like winding down anyway, too.
I think most people even go to bed by 9 o'clock. So like if I'm just an hour before them, it's no big deal. And so, the first few days take a little bit to adjust. At first you're like, oh man, I'm a little tired at 5 o'clock. But then before you know it, you're powering through 5 and you're going to bed around 8, and then you have this really, really great schedule. And plus, you're waking up with the sun and going to sleep when the sun's going down. And I think that's really huge for the human brain and body, like just through evolutionary
the circadian
purposes.
rhythm, it is.
So I started waking up earlier, and literally within 1 week, I became a ninja. It was unbelievable. My workouts and then I made the transition. Even more. What what could I do physically to change the mental status for myself, because that's everything. When you guys are stuck, me and you always preach about always doing something physical to change the physiological
get
part
the blood
of it.
pumping.
Yeah, exactly.
Tony Robbins,
because that'll release the endorphins, and people don't realize, like, I'm not a big fan of lifting at night. I don't recommend it. I think if you can get up and you at least stretch in the morning or do some type of home workouts to stimulate your body and brain before you do anything, it'll make a life-changing difference.
I'm a big fan of that as well, and being a 9-to-5 person who works in an office. So people listening at home, I found that working out in the morning, I was able to get in a workout, because at night it was like 80% chance that I wasn't going to be feeling it going after work.
Mainly because you're not going to be feeling it. Mainly because you're tired because you sat in a fucking office all day.
Right, went the whole day. And so it's like, no, I just want to go home. Whereas if one gets a workout in before work, goes to work, then all of a sudden they have options. Like, options are limitless. You can go home, you can take it easy. What's that?
And energy.
Yes, you can go out socially, because, like, how many times have people not worked out in the morning, gone to work, and then at the end of work someone's like, hey, you want to go hang out, you want to go catch this movie or whatever, and you're like, oh man, I got to go work out, like, I don't know, and you end up missing that workout because you want to be social.
Right.
Well, if you got the workout out of the way in the beginning, you hit the end of work, if that's important to you, you can be like, oh yeah man, like, I'll hang out, I'll have one drink or do whatever.
There's a lot of benefits of getting it up and getting it done in the morning. For me, it's the biggest one is the mental stimulation. I make sure I get up at 3 now, even if it's a weekend. I'm getting up at like 4 still. You know what I mean?
Because that's sleeping into you now.
Yeah, that's sleeping into me now. But just I know the importance of that stimulation mentally with the physical part, waking up and coming to and having like the proper routine to have proper brain function through my day, so I can be the most creative person, so I can train the hardest I can and have plenty of energy. People think because I'm getting up at 3, I'm getting tired through my day, but it's quite the opposite. I'm waking up and putting my body through a rigorous workout and stretching, and it's the meditation state's almost there the entire time. And this is one of the biggest reasons why I'm successful and getting so many things done in my day. Is because of that morning routine and understanding the importance of being physically active, because that stimulates your brain. So all you people that are having trouble and are lifting at 5-6 o'clock and you're just having trouble, most of the time it's because you're lifting at 5-6 o'clock at night, later on in the evenings, and not stimulating your body in the morning. So that's a big go-to for me. So what did you do to get better when you were sick?
That's a good question. And also, excuse me, going back on the self-love stuff, I was down on myself because I usually don't get sick. And it's been like 5 years since I've gotten a fever. And so I was really down because I wanted to get back in the gym, wanted to keep reaching my goals. I tried to log in and work, and I was so fucking clouded. And I did some work yesterday when I'm feeling a lot better, and I was just zooming through stuff. And it was like, oh shit, I was really handicapped being sick. And so, it's really beneficial living with a nurse. Dayla was awesome. She actually gave me an IV bag. So that's how sick I was.
Nice.
So that was really helpful.
Fluids,
I started taking
fluids in.
Oh yeah. I mean, drinking water constantly, vitamin C constantly. Started taking a zinc pill in the morning, for immune support. I also got this stuff from the company On It. They have this, it's called Shroom Tech, and it's like, mushrooms, garlic, all this stuff that helps immunity. So I was taking those. Let's see what else.
Any apple cider vinegar?
That's a good question. Dayla and I just started getting on apple cider vinegar.
It's amazing.
So it's like the miracle drug. You can put it on your face. Apparently, it helps acne.
Yeah,
so do you guys
take
apple cider vinegar and whatnot in the morning?
A shot every night and a shot every morning.
Okay, so you guys do too.
Yeah, a shot every night, shot every morning. And guys, it's perfectly normal if you do get a little nauseous after you do a shot of apple cider vinegar. It goes away in about 15 minutes, but it's completely normal, if you were wondering.
Yeah. And then sleep. I was sleeping a lot. Like, hearing your 7 hours a night, that's definitely usually what we get, like 7 to 8 hours a night. Yeah. But, fuck, man, I slept like 13 hours a couple days, because my body just needed to fix itself.
Sleep. It needed to fucking recover and sleep. And that's, just to touch base on how important sleep is, guys. If you're not eating right, you can't sleep right. And I think that's the domino effect a lot of people have. It's like, oh man, I don't sleep well. That's my biggest problem. Well, if you eat foods that cause inflammation, if you eat foods that cause unhealthy gut bacteria, and all that kind of stuff, you will not sleep well. And when you don't sleep well, you're not healing your body. You're not releasing testosterone. You're not releasing growth hormone to have your body and brain be functionally recovered for the following day. So all of this ties in together. And I think the average person eats like shit, to be honest. So you sleep like shit. And then the next morning you perform like shit. And the next day you perform like shit. And it's this vicious cycle. And that was a big reason how I got sick, and this kind of goes with self-love, which I'll get to in a moment. We live in an apartment building, and so somebody had come home on a fucking Friday night, drunk out, and pulled the fire alarm. And so we'd gotten up and woken up, and the fire alarm kept going. We found out later because I would deport that guy. That guy,
right? Yes,
he'd be exactly. Kicked out.
Yeah, he'd get the fuck out.
He'd get the fuck out.
Yeah, I don't care who you are. Well, and also, like I'm 30, Dayla's in her late 20s. There were people with newborns out, and it's like, what the fuck are you gonna do? Yeah, and they shouldn't be waking up to that. And so that was partly what got me sick, because I was up from like 1:30 a.m. to 3 a.m. when the thing finally fucking went off and went back to sleep, and I could feel that I was kind of fucked up. And so to fix that as like a self-love, Dayla and I looked at like, we really like the apartment building we live in, the location, et cetera, but there's been some issues. So there's been like the fire alarm. We have some neighbors that will, party and go out and that whole thing. And so we've looked at now like, okay, when our lease is up, where can we go relatively in the same area that would be more supportive of like working professionals that would allow us to sleep? Could we move in the building to like the top floor, so then we don't have anybody above us playing music or stomping around having parties?
Dissecting the problem.
Exactly. And that's to the point that you've talked about a lot, we've talked about a lot in terms of self-love and then like fixing it.
Yeah. And those are you're taking the proper steps. Yeah, they suck, and yeah, they're annoying, but that's like the shit we have to deal with. Right. We gotta deal with dumb other fucking people doing dumb fucking shit. And so
it's like, what is in our control that we can fix?
Right. Because, you being pissed off isn't the answer. You being like talking to Dayla about how shitty your neighbors are does nothing but put you guys in a shitty mood. It doesn't affect the neighbor upstairs being a fucking prick.
Oh, right.
It doesn't affect
they don't
them.
care that we're pissed off.
They don't even know. They don't even know that you're pissed off because they're that fucking asshole-ish. But the only thing you can do is like exactly what you're doing. It's like, all right, let's look at other options. Let's take control and make the steps we need to do to better our lives. And that's not being lazy. That goes right back into, and even though you're forced to kind of do it, it's not necessarily being lazy, but you have to take control. You have to take actions and then do what you need to do to better your lifestyle. And that's always up to you. Like, and we're all going to deal with that kind of stuff and go through lives. And these are these little trials that we have to go through. And like, this is just one of them that like, all right. But in the end, it's going to be awesome. You're going to find a better place that totally suits you. And then your life will elevate. Your relationship will elevate.
Yeah, sleep will improve.
Sleep will elevate. Like everything will elevate. So it's like, you can always look at the thing as half full, or you can be, or half empty, or you can be all about, hey, this is great. This is half full. This is how it's going to work. And then you have awesome results from it.
Yeah, and it is mental training, because you're right, it isn't the first knee-jerk. The knee-jerk is to be like, this motherfucker, and it's mental training to look at, like, okay, how do I get around this? Like, this is just a challenge. And also it's like, we talk about what we put in our bodies, what we eat, what we read, sleep, etc. And I think a big one are words. Words have a lot of power, and so what I've been doing recently, when I find something that's difficult, instead of saying this is hard or this is difficult, I'll say like, this is challenging. Like, this was a challenge for me. Because that's a mental reframe, because we can all get over things that are challenging.
And I think it's good. I think it's good to go through these challenges in life too, because the way you guys are handling this, you'll just handle it even better next time, because it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again all the time.
It never stops.
It never stops, and that's just called life.
Yes, and that's the other thing too. I think we were sold. I'm sure. I don't know. I can't speak for you, but me growing up, like, we all think as kids we're going to grow up, become adults, and then like life just kind of stops.
Right.
And we've sort of like hit the pinnacle, when that's not the truth. The truth is like, this will not end. Like, you and Steph will be training when you're 60, like, who knows, 70, etc.
We have a lot of lifetimes.
Live a certain way.
Yes, exactly. Of lifetimes. I was talking to Steph about that. How many lifetimes we actually live, and it's pretty remarkable. I think life isn't very short. I used to think life was much shorter. Even probably previous episodes, I used to be like, man, life's over in a blink of an eye.
When you and I met, I count that as like a different Sean. Like I look back at photos and I'm like, oh yeah, it's the same person, but mentally, I was in a much different place.
Oh yeah,
And I think you were in a different place too. And so now we look at ourselves now and it's like, oh yeah, that was kind of like a lifetime ago, even though that was
growing.
like 6 years ago.
Consistently growing. 6 years is a long time. Like even where me and Steph are at when we first start to where we are now mentally as a couple, as a relationship, as ourselves, as individuals, night and day. Absolutely night and day. Even my thought process. It's remarkable, and I think that's the biggest problem. I think most people are afraid of change. I think that's why we've always talked about how people never stop dressing like they did in high school, like they dress the same, because they pick a place where it's time that was safe. That was a good safe place for them, which is no responsibilities in high school.
Yeah, exactly.
So we all dress like that. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm still there in that safe place. We're going to India.
Yes.
So I wanted to touch base and show you guys.
You guys are going to come back though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So we go to Steph a few months back.
It's a yoga retreat.
Well, Steph a few months back was going to India to become yoga certification, get her yoga certification. And India is like the beginning of all yoga and meditation and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really cool. So she was approached by a few people, and she's been working back and forth with them, and she's going to go out there, get a certification, and also vlogging while she's out there. So you guys will be able to see her, doing the vlogging while she's out there, and seeing how she does it and goes through it. And then I was talking recently how in India, health and fitness and bodybuilding is actually very, very popular, and it'd be really cool. And I always mentioned how I think one day that's where I'll end up doing seminars on health, fitness, the kind of the stuff that we talk about on a daily basis.
Kind of like a tour, like do different speeches, conferences.
Exactly. So I was just mentioning this to her, and she has a bunch of clients from India that she's actually become good friends with, and she's in touch with, and she mentioned it to one of them, and he took it and ran. And before we knew it, we have 3 seminars set up in India.
Oh, nice!
The first week
That's
of April.
Awesome.
I don't.
Are you guys going to be filming them by any chance?
I think we will be. Not professionally. I wanted to try to bring David Mai Tai out there, but just the ducks didn't line up in order for this first time through. Eventually, I want David to be coming on all the trips. Just so we could film these and have these available for everybody on the YouTube channel or whatnot. That way, everybody can see what we are doing. Netflix eventually, right? So, we're really excited, nervous at the same time, but I think it's going to be a fantastic event, or 3 events.
Where in India? What cities?
I don't even have those in front of me right now. Steph has all that information. I should have had that ready to go. But 3 different locations. I think each one holds up to 300-400 people. So it's
nice.
Yeah, it's really cool and real exciting.
When are you guys going?
First week of April. I'll be there. So this is what's gnarly. So I'll be there with Steph for the first week of April, and then Steph stays for 3 more weeks, and then I come home. So that'll be the longest I've ever been without Steph, which will be interesting. No. So, but I think her mom may join her in India as well to do the yoga cert or the yoga course as well.
Good for her.
So that is really cool, and it's right in the Himalayas. So it's up in the mountains, the most beautiful. Wow. Yeah, it's so beautiful. I saw a bunch of pictures. So Steph's really, really pumped to add this to her resume.
Her parents sound fantastic. Very awake. Yeah,
they're really cool. They're ahead of Steph's mom was way ahead of the curve as far as organic food goes, and just being healthy in general. We didn't have the bullshit in the house, the bad food.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's nice. Just way ahead of the curve. And her dad's this completely just genius engineer who can do almost everything and anything.
Sounds like it. So, he's building a house.
Yeah, he's like Batman. So it's really cool that she comes from a 2 set of great individuals that are as intelligent as her parents. So very fortunate.
So then after Steph does the yoga, the yoga retreat, what's the plan coming back? Is she going to kind of diversify what she's doing? You guys add that to the IAMBUILT portfolio?
Yeah, there's so many different avenues you can take that we can do. Obviously, ebooks, yoga ebooks, or even possibly do retreats here on the beach where we can have people meet here for yoga out there. I think Steph's really going to learn too is just how to meditate. very, very well. I think that's one of her biggest things. It's not like power yoga. It's not like the big holding. Like it's not like a physical.
More like a spiritual type.
More of a
yoga.
spiritual, approach. So I think that's what she's most excited about. Is going there and truly connecting to herself and stuff that's around her. And so I think she's really excited to grow spiritually over there. It'd be pretty neat.
That's really cool. I'm excited to hear about it and watch it. And I want to see your guys' talks.
Yeah, I'm so glad Steph's doing it with me, because I think I'd be a fucking wreck if I was completely by myself. Like you have to fill like 4 or 5 hours, So like I'd probably rush through everything in 30 minutes.
And questions.
And there we go. We got 4 hours of questions. Like if we were in
you have a PowerPoint, you just keep hitting it. It says questions, question mark, question.
If they just give me a gym to like travel through the gym with everybody, I could fill that 5-6 hours, no problem. But we have a lot of fun things we're going to do. We have to actually write it all out, throw it on down paper, and then practice it in our living room quite a few times, which I've never done. Steph's done a lot of presentations,
public
speaking. Me, not so much, but I've been in front of the microphone a lot, and the video camera a lot with the My Type vids. So I'm getting more and more comfortable in speaking.
When you guys are doing it the right way, practicing. That's what they do in the business world. Like when I was going through business school, we would do projects. Like once a week, we'd have presentations and have to get up in front of people. And they give you the little tips and tricks, but it's also practicing and doing it.
I think just doing it, doing it over and over. So I'm excited to actually work on that with Steph. And I have my buddy Lee, who's a motivational speaker as well, who's going to come in and help us out with that and push us forward and give us little hints and stuff like that. I think it's going to work out really well with Steph helping me, break down how we're going to go through the seminar, and then we just fill it in with stuff that we know backwards and frontwards. So we know what we're going to talk about.
Right, because you're talking about what you live anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I know a lot of the people that are going to be there are inspiring personal trainers. Some of them are inspiring competitors or athletes or bodybuilding. I know some that just want to learn about health and fitness. So we'll be able to touch base on all that and the importance of how we reached our goal. And I think also like a lot of people listening there are going to wonder, how do we get into the business that we're in, which is, I guess, personal training, nutrition, motivational lifestyle. Yeah. So, and explain like how we got there will be really exciting, because it's totally different, like how we met, the way we got married. So the approach we're going to get into is explaining who we are in the first half of, not the first half, but the first part of the ceremony, the seminar is explaining like how we got into business, and then we can reflect everything else back to like, oh, it's because we did it this way, and it's because we did it this way. So it'll be a lot of fun, and it'll be cool for them to see like how we evolved into what we are by doing everything that we've done. So it'll be pretty cool. I'm pumped.
Thank you also for practicing what you're preaching in terms of globalism and a global community, because you're getting out of your comfort zone. You're going somewhere else, like fucking halfway across the world.
Yeah, it's going to be a culture shock for me, for sure, because, I've been to Mexico and Canada. I'm very sheltered in the traveling.
You're very
aspects.
Western Hemisphere.
I was in the East Coast for 25 years, and then here for 9. So it's like I've been just here. Moving to LA though was a great culture shock too. Where I'm from, upstate New York, it was just white dudes. There was like I think we had one Asian and one black person, and that was it. So now it's nice to come out here and see the different cultures, and it's really neat to be out there and go do it. I'm excited. It'll be cool.
Nice, man.
You wanted to get into a little bit of organic talks, not even just with food, but with also household appliances, and you mentioned that earlier.
Yes, yeah, and thank you. And I know you guys eat organically, and you're very self-conscious isn't the right word, but conscious of what you guys put into your bodies. And so recently, mainly Dayla, I've sort of just ridden along, and I've sort of been the alpha test for a lot of these things. But she started looking at we both personally thought we got it to a good point. Like we were buying a lot of all natural, quote unquote, stuff. It was advertised as being organic, good for the environment. A lot of the products we bought were available at Whole Foods, and we just kind of trusted them to do the right thing. Dayla started keeping track of what was in the products we were using, and she actually made a long list. So it's actually a 4-page document that I want to turn into an Excel document, kind of share.
Cool.
But she's labeled different ingredients in every product, and she has them differentiated by reds and greens, the reds being bad, greens being good. And even on for instance, I was using this all natural face lotion that I thought was all natural from Whole Foods. They pitch themselves as being, very health conscious, etc. One of the ingredients that they use is a known skin irritant. And it was being advertised as a face lotion. And so it's like, well, this doesn't make any fucking sense. So, right. Super long story short, we went down the rabbit hole and Dela found this group called the Environmental Working Group, or EWG. And they have different rankings for products from a 1 to 10 scale, 1 being really good for not only humans, but also the environment. And so Perfect. Like from 1 to 10, so something could be like a 3 per se, and they're like, hey, it's perfect for humans, but it's kind of shitting on the environment. So just FYI. So
that's great.
So this EWG ratings rather, if people look it up, 1 is kind of safe to 10 being like, oh my God, this probably causes cancer. For instance, like fragrance, check out the products you have in your bathroom. People listening, check it out. Fragrance is like listed as an 8. And that's because fragrance is a catch-all term for fucking anything. And so a brand can put any different types of chemicals to make something smell good and just call it fragrance. And it could still be this skin irritant. It could be cancer causing, a lot of stuff. Like I was using this deodorant, and it had an ingredient in there that affected the immune system and was like toxic to the immune system. And so we've gotten really into that. There's a company called Well People that's based here in Austin, but people can order it. It is carried in Whole Foods. It's a little bit pricier. However, you can find the same shit on Amazon for a lot cheaper. Right. And so we've gotten into not only the organic stuff that we put in our body, but also like the hand washes we use, the body washes,
we
the lotions,
we made that switch ourselves like almost a year and a half ago now. Even with the laundry detergents, even
same thing.
Dryer sheets. Shit like that. It makes a big difference. I definitely. Even like you're cleaning shit where you clean your counters with or wash your dishes with.
Exactly. And that's a great point, Justin, because we live in that shit. Like even though we're putting it on a counter and rubbing it and stuff, and we're going to have to be in that room inhaling whatever it is and getting it on our hands and bodies by touching it. We've noticed the big improvements have been our skin. And so like her face, it looks fantastic. My face has improved. This is the first time in my life, man, well, since I was like 12, that I haven't had to really deal with acne.
Yeah,
and a lot of
that was the same thing with Steph. That was the same thing with Steph. The apple cider vinegar, though, you're going to really like, because that was like everything. But it's remarkable. Like, and then people see it as like an overwhelming thing, and I think the way you guys can get into this, making a more intelligent decision when it comes to like household appliances, your organic foods and fruits and stuff like that, is take your time doing it. That's how we did it. I think,
and kind of make it fun too, because Dayla and I were trying new things, and we were it does kind of suck because we had to throw away a lot of shit that we had spent money for. But
I did do
there's a great company called Dr. Bronner's. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them.
No, haven't heard of them.
It was started in the 1920s by this German Jew, and the whole thing is like he wanted to be good to humanity and good to the environment. And so a lot of their soap, all their soaps, all their toothpaste, etc., the EWG rankings are like a 1 or a 2. And so you're being really good to human bodies, you're being really good to the environment. We bought 3 huge soap containers that we can use to clean the counters, that we can use for dish soap, that we can use for hand soap. We got 3 toothpastes, 2 lotion bottles, and like 1 other bottle of this soap that we can use for body wash. That whole thing was $90. And even though it kind of sucked for us to throw away all the old shit, we're like, well, this stuff's going to last us for fucking ever. And we only spent $90.
What's the link?
So it's called Dr. Bronner's, Bronner.
Cool. Check that out, guys. Yeah. I'll check that out. That's really cool.
I'll send it to you too, because I was taken aback. And then it's same thing, ties into like apple cider vinegar and whatnot. So I see a Rolfer who is kind of like a combo between a chiropractor and a massage therapist, and he's super hippie, very woke, if you will. And he uses the apple cider vinegar under his armpits for like a deodorant. Cause he's
I use coconut oil for deodorant.
Yeah, there you go.
That's all I use. And that's another thing too, guys. If you eat clean, you really never stink. Have you noticed that?
This is true.
You don't.
Yes, very much so.
Like even if I don't stink if I go to the gym and I sweat. I don't even need a all natural deodorant. All I have is I get out of the shower and I put coconut oil on and I put it under my arms and I don't smell ever. I think it's also just due to the fact that I eat very, very clean for the most part. So whatever's coming out of my body is very, very clean and natural. So I think, you won't fucking smell. It's pretty cool.
No, it so is. I've noticed that as well. Because I've been going through deodorants trying to find stuff that isn't going to like kill my skin. But through this process, I haven't really smelled. And what's funny is this whole thing happened while I was sick. And so you would think that while I was sick, like I'm going to have more aptitude to smell. I'm going to get more acne, and none of that shit happened.
None of it happened because you were stayed on top of it. Yeah, it's really radical. I think, and guys, definitely try to look into this kind of stuff. And like we said, like start off with baby steps. What I did, how I began this organic, healthy lifestyle living was I first started doing things like I got rid of artificial sweeteners. That was the first step, is get rid of anything artificial. So I haven't had a diet soda or anything like that.
In forever.
Over 2 years now. That was the same thing with all my protein shakes and my pre-workouts. All those things were full of artificial sweeteners and stuff like that.
And thank you for getting me off of pre-workout stuff, by the way.
Pre-workouts.
Justin was very influential. He was just like, drink coffee.
Yeah, even like the branched chain aminos, people are sipping on those gallon jugs all day. They're all full of artificial sweeteners and dyes and stuff that just aren't good for you in any way, shape, or form. It's not good for your stomach. It's not good for your skin or your brain. So that was like the first step, and then after that it was buying all organic foods, and then after that it was like organic or environmentally safe household appliances. That was the next thing, and then it becomes like, okay, well now I'm not going to eat red meat. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of for the environment. And stuff like that. So you'll
because would you find that some of these were easy because you did it kind of piecemeal, which I completely support and would recommend because that's how we did it as well. But like you said, once you got rid of artificial sweetener, a lot of people are like, oh fuck, I couldn't go without a soda or whatever. And you did that, and you're like, oh shit, that was easy. Okay, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
Is that sort of how you looked at it? Like, oh, okay, I got this. So like, what's the next thing? Oh, meat. I could try that.
It's just there's a certain way I like to approach life. It's one, health wise, and then two, environmentally. Like you said, like the two things that's why I think it's fantastic, like what you just shared, because human beings should always eat for the environment. You should always live for the environment because that's what controls everything. That's what we live in. The earth is the earth. So you have to be very, very intelligent. And I think there's so many fucking people in this world that are fucking with it, that everybody has to play their role and do what's best for the environment. It doesn't matter that you can digest red meat and we can process it. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree that red meat is perfectly fine to eat. It's not going to not digest. That's a myth. It does digest. But it's not great for the environment because the way we manufactured it for the animals, it's basically a holocaust on all cows and pigs and all these kind of things, and every single day. Like, it is a real thing. It is fucking insane, like the things that we're doing to these animals on a daily basis, and it's still continuing. Like, it's not even fucking being touched. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's I think it's starting to turn a little bit. Like I was reading the other day that the dairy industry is kind of hurting compared to how they used to be because almond milk and almond-based products has risen so starkly, and so like it's the same thing when people started to wake up to McDonald's being shitty. It was like, oh, their profit margin decreased like 10%, and that's kind of what's happening to dairy.
But it's just amazing it even takes this long. It goes with the fact that people still don't like change, just for the simple fact they don't like change. It's like, fuck you. Right. It's like, don't be a fucking douche. Like, consider change as a good thing. There are scientific studies that show milk is just not good for you. It causes inflammation. It causes bad gut bacteria. It causes all these problems. It makes people break out. It causes inflammation. There's no good reason to drink milk.
Right. Unless you're a baby cow.
Unless you're a baby cow.
Drink away.
And someone put up a really funny meme the other day. Hold on. I got to find this fucking meme. It is so good. But yeah, quit fucking drinking milk. I don't get why people still drink milk. But guys, I was a milk guy growing up. I was a vitamin D whole milk guy. Like I lived for that. I would drink a gallon of milk a fucking day. It was crazy.
Well, and we're all brought up in it, and what is usually a red flag for me is any industry that promotes the industry and not individual brands. And so like milk, they're just like, drink milk. You know, it's not like drink milk from this brand.
They trick you a lot of times. They like build strong bones and builds muscle, and they just lied on the commercials for quite a long time. And so you have like these generations of people that are like, that's the only research they've done is by watching the TV. So they're like, oh yeah, that's what milk does. It does a body good. It's like, well, no, it's actually quite 110% the opposite. The meme was the first guy who discovered milk probably did a lot of other weird shit. So
no, it's true, because you got to get under that cow.
Yeah, the same guy who was fucking the cow went down there and sucked on some tits. So just think about that. Think about that guy banging a cow and then was like, you know what? I wonder how the titties taste. And he went down there and
one wonders how we got a lot of that stuff. You know, that's just normal now.
Just normal. I
bet it was a lot of shit like that.
Like who was the first person to like try it? $10, try it. Like, I ain't trying that. Just from a cow. Like, you're gonna, come on, man.
They had a lot of time on their hands too.
$20, try it. You're like, all right, I'll try. I'm like, not bad. I think we can make some money off this.
Yeah, and it's like, well, if you like this, I got cheese over here. I got all these other products.
Exactly, and I do love cheese, but fuck, man, cheese is amazing. But you know, it's just understanding also our right as a human isn't to just mistreat animals too. I think that's the biggest thing. I think some people are very, very passionate about that, and they have a right to be. Nobody should be mistreating the animals the way we do. Anyway.
Well, because we're from this world, and I think humans have this viewpoint. Human as the whole is that we're above everything else.
Yeah, and that's a strange thing to me. That's one thing.
We need to eat.
Is there any? It's one of those things. In 2 seconds on religious talk. Do any religions ever talk about taking care of the earth or anything like that? Because that's one thing I think that's missing out of all the books is like, yo, don't do that. Don't do that to animals. Don't.
There's going to be this really black substance that you're going to find 1,000 years from now that'll run your automobiles. I'll get to that later, what an automobile is, but like that's going to be bad for the earth.
Yeah, like don't do that. And that's the thing too. It's like we have such a long way to go. We have, like, I understand we all have like the right to like seek out this fun, beautiful life and do all these crazy fun things and like say like buy really fast sports cars that guzzle up gasoline that goes 250 miles an hour, but it's working backwards.
As you're sitting on the 405 going 15 miles per hour.
Yeah, it's just working backwards. I mean, if human beings were intelligent, it would be one of those things where we all actually have the same automobile that works perfectly great for the environment, that's very, very efficient, that doesn't, that's safe, that doesn't go 200 miles an hour, that just goes the speed we need it to go. And that's honestly how it should work. It's just...
Yeah, there's a sidebar on this. I'm reading this book or listening to. Audible has changed my life. Highly recommend it. It's called Happy Money, and they were talking about cars at one point. And they did this study with people, and they had one group, and they were just like, here's a car. And they gave them just a car to drive around where they're like, oh, you didn't have a car before. Here, now you have 4 wheels, regardless of if it's a Ford or a BMW. And they noticed the happiness amongst those people, like there was no change between the Honda Civic and the fucking Ferrari. And then they took another group of people and they were like, who here enjoys to go like on a joyride and enjoys to like drive for fun? And, a few people raised their hand.
Yeah, that's me.
In that group. Yeah, so in that group, it made a slight difference in happiness in terms of those people were happier to be able to go on a joyride, and they like enjoyed having a fancier car that was like German engineered, could cut corners, etc. The one caveat and then ask those people, well, how many times do you joyride like during the year? And people, the average is once to twice a year.
Interesting.
And so it's like, is that $100,000 worth that?
No,
1 to 2 times?
Rent it.
Exactly.
That's what I was going to tell people all the time. Like, why would you buy that car if it's going to sit in your garage like 90% of the time? If you want to just have a weekend where you want to joyride a fun car, just go rent it for the weekend and then bring it back, and then go back to your normal. Like even me, I have to come to a point where I want to eventually trade my truck in, because I bought a truck 4 years ago now, and it's going to be paid off next year.
Nice.
Right. So it's like, oh, do I want to go to a new car? Like next year,
yeah, right.
And get sucked in. Get sucked in. The car's perfectly fine. It's only got like 30,000 miles on it.
And now you wouldn't have a car payment.
I wouldn't have a car payment. The only thing that makes me want to trade it in is to get an electric car. is so I can better serve the environment. So that's how my brain works now. It's like, what's the best way to properly serve the environment as much as I can when it comes to my eating habits, my driving habits, even like my electric habits in my house. Like, what could I do to help serve the environment better? And it makes things way easier if you approach life that way. In general, it's like kind of like makes it all very, very simple.
Right.
Even with the stuff, the household appliances, like what's good for the environment, you know?
Right. And then it's spending money on the stuff that's going to support the lifestyle and make the person a happier person, more productive person. And in the end, like, it can be super inexpensive. So like the car thing we were talking about, I think that's great advice. If you want to take a joyride, go out and rent the car, and then you can like drive your car that's maybe paid off, or that's a low monthly payment.
And that's a shame about human beings, is like we all could still have these little perks of like fun, you know what I mean? If we didn't abuse the system. Like, we would be able to have red meat. You'll be able to have a burger once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks, and the cow wasn't overprocessed. It wasn't being manufactured. It's not wrecking the environment by using all this water and and tearing down all these rainforests. Because everybody would be like, yo, I don't have to be a glutton piece of shit and eat 4 burgers a day just because you can.
And then you can kind of know the cow. So like Dayla and I buy these eggs that are, they're cage free and they got all the room to run and they're the happiest fucking birds you've ever seen. And they each month they include a little insert in the eggs, and it has like a couple articles, and then it has the bird of the month. And it has like a little bit about like the chicken that's just been fucking killing it on the farm that week or that month, and it has a little bit about them. So it's like, Sue was the bird of the month this month because blah blah blah. And so you're like, oh, hey, thanks, Sue, for pumping out those eggs. Like, I appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, a little humanity. It goes a long way. Because I get asked that about the vegan approach that I've been doing, and I always clarify, like, I'm not 100% vegan for one. I just try to eat vegan for the most part because it's best for the environment. That's the reason I even looked down this avenue. It was just another transition to something better, like I did with organic foods and like what I did with getting rid of artificial sweeteners. This was just another transition to like, all right, how can I better my health and my brain and for the environment? And that was just trying to eat predominantly vegan for the most part. And then like doing my research on certain foods and where they come from. When I did eat meat, whether it's fish or salmon, make sure that it was from a good place, and it was like it was responsibly manufactured, and these animals lived a really cool life, and they were happy, and because that's very, very important. It all goes down to like we have no right to make something feel miserable just for our own gluttonal needs. So I think this is all like a great movement. Some people are like, oh, fucking eat meat. We're supposed to eat meat. Like, yeah, I agree. But you're not supposed to fucking Holocaust cows. You're not supposed to do those things. Like,
yeah, it's taken to the nth degree. It's like, dude, we don't need to be doing it how we're doing it.
Yeah, how we're doing it is just weird. It's weird. It's a weird situation, the way we do it. I mean, the fact that SeaWorld finally let go of whales is a strange thing. That should have happened 100 years ago. It should have never happened. Nobody should have ever went and captured wild animals to put in a fish tank. It just doesn't make any sense.
Well, and I think it's okay when we step back and realize, like, oh, okay, that was the wrong thing to do. Like, I get it when people do something like, oh, hey, we're the dominant species. We can grab all these people or animals and throw them in a zoo and make them do tricks and shit. And then in 100 years, if it's like, oh, shit, no, they're actually sentient and they have feelings and this isn't the right thing to do.
Evolving.
It's okay to be like, it's okay to be like, hey,
we fucked up.
We're gonna, what SeaWorld's doing now is they're adding rides to their things. They're adding roller coasters and stuff. So like, fucking change your brand, like redo things a little bit.
For sure. It's and that's cool that they can evolve and see that. It took them fucking forever to do it. They fought it every step of the way, those pieces of shit. But I mean, It's one of those things, like we all like have like I said, like I used to drink milk without realizing it, and then you evolve from it, you know what I mean? And that's just how it is. So like we all can do our part and keep getting better at it, and making the choices that you're making, like with your household appliances, better for the environment, with the food, and it's just something that all human beings need to do so we can like sustain a healthy environment and all that jazz. It's good, man.
The one thing I would give SeaWorld, and I do not know why they do not make this public, they save on average 3 animals per day, and they're apparently the first entity that the government calls when they have like an oil spill or something adverse happens in an ocean or marine life. They're like, yo, can you guys come help out? So I don't know why SeaWorld wasn't making that readily available, like saying like, hey, we fucked up with the orcas, but like look at all the good stuff we do.
Yeah, right. Make it easy
I
on
don't know.
yourself. Just make it easy on yourself. So
Instead of saying like "go fuck yourself," we're keeping Shamu.
poor Shamu. Fucking jeez. I know we all loved Willie. Was it Willie? What movie?
Free Willy.
Free
Yeah,
Willy.
Free
We
Willy.
all love that movie. You know.
Free that guy.
Free that guy. All right. The biggest highlight of the episode is you getting engaged.
That's really sweet of you. I was, everybody listening at home, a little behind the scenes. Justin and I talked about what we wanted to talk about and had this list, and so it's really, really sweet of you to leave it to the end. Yeah, I did get engaged. For those listening, I did used to be married. Justin knew me when I was married the first time. When I got divorced, I was like, "Fuck this love thing. That's never happening again."
The
fuck
process,
chicks, man.
going through
I
the
just want
process.
to dance tonight, bro. And and I think this leads into, which of course I'm going to do, what you and I talk about quite a bit, is that I looked at myself and I was like, okay, that sucked. But once I got divorced and was a single person again, what can I do to improve my life and to make myself happier? And so of course, got back into the gym. You were super helpful in all of your advice and just compassion with what I was doing. And people listening, Justin would call me, text me, make sure I was doing okay, which I still really appreciate. And I got myself to a point where I was super happy with myself and super happy with my life. And then voila, Dayla appears at the gym. We connect, find out she also doesn't drink milk. She also doesn't drink much alcohol.
We have
She
things
doesn't
in
go out.
common.
Yeah, exactly. All of these health traits, which we're still continuing to explore with the household stuff. So I asked Dayla to marry me a couple weeks ago, the weekend before Valentine's Day. Had a friend come out and kind of hide in the bushes, if you will, and take a couple photos. So we got some cool photos on Instagram.
That's awesome.
Did a family dinner with her family, my family afterwards, and then we did a little evening event, which was funny because we never go out. So I had to ask several friends what's a bar close by that has an area that I could rent out and reserve for people to hang out and party. And so Dayla loved it. She's the fucking best. She told me that. Because then on that Sunday, she was like, oh, I was able to digest it. And she was crying those happy tears. And she said, it's dawned on me that you're the first man to not make me cry. And when you do, it's happy tears. And it's
that's
I'm
awesome.
happy I'm crying. Yeah, so it's fantastic. People listening, if you've been through heartache, relationships that made you rethink love and life, keep pushing along, focus on yourself and making yourself better. It's kind of like magic. I know same thing happened with you, Justin.
Yeah, for sure. Lifetimes. We have a lot of
stuff.
lifetimes. A lot of lifetimes.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
So I'm very thankful for Dayla. I love her. We're looking at getting married February of next year, so I'll keep you posted.
For sure.
Obviously, love you and stuff.
Yeah, we definitely will be there. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. Cheers. That's the coolest feeling ever.
It is.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm pumped for you, man. I'm pumped for you. And then you guys are looking into possibly moving into a new place and then getting married all within the year. That'll be really cool. A lot of new things for you.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. There are a lot of new things and a lot of good things.
Did she know the parents were in town? Did you surprise all that as well?
Yeah, everything was a surprise.
Oh,
she had
no idea.
no idea.
Ooh, good.
Also, this is really for people at home in relationships and stuff. All I fucking did was ask questions. 3 or 4 months ago, I was like, so, if I were to propose to you on the spectrum of you and I are alone in our apartment to you're on the fucking Jumbotron at a NBA game, where do you want to be in that spectrum? And she was like, oh, way more towards the just you and me. And so then I was like, well, would you want your family there? What aspect? And I just got all the information from her and then lined it all up.
That's cool. Yeah, you did a little homework.
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted it to be special for her. And because it was special for her, it turned out being very special for me.
See, Steph ruined that for me. The first time we really didn't even have a proper engagement. We just got hitched in 6 weeks. And then when I went to surprise her with a real brand new ring and all that jazz, and I was I was going to re-propose to her up in Canada in front of her friends and family.
Oh, wow.
So I was dealing with the ring person and the person who referred me to the ring via text. So then she a few times I was kind of weird with my phone. So she thought I was banging another chick or something.
Yeah, sure.
So she's like, who's on your phone? So I'm she literally picked a fight about it. I was like, you know what? Fine. fine.
Oh, so did
I had to tell her,
like,
because it was literally tearing her apart because she thought it was just cheating on her.
You know, what's funny is a similar moment because I said we were going to go watch a movie because I had to like. So it was funny. I asked her sister to try to make plans, and so her sister was like doing this shit. And over several incarnations, she was like, "Sean, I need help because I told Dayla I'm running a non-existent 10K, and she now wants to run it with me."
Oh
and
my
she's like,
goodness.
"I don't know what to do." So I was like, "Hey, babe, you know, it's like fucking date night. You want to go see a movie?" And so we had scheduled, quote unquote, to see a movie.
So you had to get her hammered
at a specific
so she
time.
couldn't run the next day. I'm just joking.
Well, no, I didn't get her hammered, right?
Right?
But it was like 1 o'clock. And I had to have her ready by 4 and for everything to work. And she wasn't feeling that well. And so I leveled with her and I was like, hey, we're not going to see the movie, but I still need you to like kind of be on at 4. And so I was like, if you need to take a nap, if you need to like get some liquids, like let me know how I can help to feel better. And so to her credit, she went and took a nap and like got all excited about it.
Cool.
She still didn't know what was going down, but yeah, I had
really
to reveal
cool.
a little bit. Also, to give you guys some props, you know, you guys got married partly because Steph to stay in the U.S.
Yes,
Steph is
for
Canadian.
sure. So we can stay together. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so you know, to all the you know people out there who are gay, lesbian, what have you, who want to get married for the rights that come with marriage. Dayla and I have actually talked about actually going to the courthouse sometime this year to enjoy those rights, so we can save money on taxes for this year. She would then be able to like make edits into our property and home insurance, which is under my name. It would make like banking a lot easier.
Oh, being
and
intelligent.
So, I appreciate
Yeah.
that. So
yeah, so it's like we're just gonna approach this intelligently and do everything we need to do to be intelligent.
yeah, exactly. And we'll have the party later. Everybody don't freak
for
out.
sure. They're totally separate.
Yes.
They're totally
Yes.
separate. I agree. They're totally separate. That's awesome, man. Congratulations. I'm pumped for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
That's very, very cool. Dude, today's episode was a lot of fun. You have anything else you want to add?
No, that was fantastic. I don't know what I can top that last topic, and thank you again for saving that for last. I'm super excited about your app. I'm excited to see how that grows. Can't wait to hear about the India trip when you guys go on it, and hope.
Crazy.
I'll send you some information on Dr. Bronner's and EWG rating. I also, you know, hope to make some posts. I've been a little behind for my mental gymnastics and the blog. I've been kind of busy and then sick.
Yeah, you've been
but
busy
hope
getting,
to start reading about this stuff.
hitched and sick and all that jazz. So, but man, that's awesome. Feeling better, freshly engaged.
Oh yeah,
It's
fantastic. Yeah, no regrets.
That's right. I'm like, you don't have a ring yet. I'm like, you have the ring yet? And like, you don't have one yet. Have you went and
I've
looked
been
at them yet? You have one yet?
I've been looking at them.
Yeah.
I don't have one yet. Yeah. What did you do to find yours?
I'm like the worst person to ask because I'm like, oh, that one, like from like 10 feet away. Like that one's fine. I went with, so my first one I lost, just so you guys know. My first one, I went with Tunskin because I don't like taking mine off ever. So I went with one that I can train with.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I'm also the type of person I don't mind if my ring gets scratched. I personally like that it gets scratched, so it kind of builds like a little character to it. So that's also my approach. So like I picked one that just wouldn't bend or warp if I were to pick it up with weights. So that's kind of what I went. Mine was a Tunskin ring, pretty inexpensive too. Like I think it was like $400 all said and done. It's heavy. It's heavy as fuck. It's a really, really heavy, thick ring. I like it a lot. And the first one I had was a Tunskin one with a little diamond in it, and then that fell off in the ocean. So that was good. Lost that one. And so
you're welcome, Ocean.
Yeah, thank goodness the men's rings are way cheaper. Like
they are.
Oh my goodness, way
cheaper.
Way cheaper. So like losing it was like, oh, bummer. You know, let's go get another one today. You know, it was no big deal. So then we just got another one. If it was Steph's ring, that would have totally fucking sucked. But
yeah, here's another one about the ring that I got for Dayla. Are you familiar with Moissanite?
No.
So this is super cool. Dayla found out about this. So it's actually from a fucking asteroid that landed in the Earth at some point, and it was discovered in the early 1900s. And the scientists figured out how to recreate it, and it's basically as clear or clearer than a diamond. And the scientists figured out how to recreate it chemically, like in a lab.
Oh, cool.
And then patented it. And so only he could use it. And like 5-10 years ago, the patent finally expired. And so now jewelers are starting to use moissanite more because it's clearer than a diamond and whatnot, and it's a ton cheaper. There's no risk of it being like a conflict diamond, a blood diamond, etc.
For sure.
So that's her ring.
That's really cool, man. That's awesome.
And it's recycled gold as well. So trying to be super conscious of what we're doing.
That's really nice, man. You guys are awesome. That's very, very cool. I'm pumped for you guys. Have you thought about where?
It'll probably be, Dayla's mom has, Georgetown is like 2 towns up from Austin. And that's where her mom and stepdad live. And they have a big house that's really good for supporting like a party. And then they also have grass around it with like a fire pit and whatnot. And so Dayla and I were kind of talking about it yesterday, just kind of spitballing. But we were thinking like, telling people like, we're going to be there from like, 3 to 9 or 10 or something like that. And it's like, we'll probably do some sort of speech or special thing at 5. And if like that's important for you to be there for, like show up around 5. Yeah. Otherwise, just hang out, have fun.
A little more casual. I think that's the best way to go too. It's for everybody. It's all like I've seen many people go down the where it's stressful. It's and I always feel bad for them. I had a few friends where it was like their weddings were very, very stressful. I have one friend going through it right now, and his parents. He even said his parents and his mom are just brutal. And now like his fiance and like his mom are just not getting along. And this tends to happen a lot, it seems like. So it seems like you guys are doing it intelligently and doing it for you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're throwing your own party, and it's for you guys, which it should be about. It's all about your day, and everybody should just show up to support that, which is awesome. I'm pumped to be there. Thank you.
Yeah, no, of course. And we're fortunate that we have family members who support us. Like we had lunch with my parents yesterday. It's my mom's birthday today, so shout out to Lorelai McDevitt for being born. Thank you. But
happy birthday.
She was like slightly like, oh, well, we could invite this person, this person, this person. I kind of looked at her, and my dad leaned over and was like, this is his wedding, right? Like we already did ours. Thankfully, my parents are older, so they're 70 basically, and so they're really chilled out. Like when people get older, they chill the fuck out.
Yeah.
And so my parents are just like, yeah, as long as we're there, like we don't really care.
Yeah, just find us a good seat.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening today. Today was a fun podcast. We touched base on a few things, and hope you guys liked the show. It was a lot of fun being back on here. We'll try to be consistent with these yet again. It's important for me. I want to really definitely try to get up these once a week, no matter what. So we're going to keep these consistent for you guys. Thanks again for listening, and thanks for all the love and support.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
All right, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.